welcome to the webinar. My name is Hannah Dyson from Enfield Voices and Global Net 21, and this is one of the regular webinars that we do exploring local, national and international issues. And today I'm very pleased to say that we've got Pete Kenyon from Sleep Pod talking to us about his initiative organising sleep pods and the story behind the initial idea and how he and his friends have progressed the idea. They've progressed it with two other friends, and we're going to be talking about this idea and kind of like the power of the people and the good that people want to do in very difficult times. So welcome, Pete Kenyon, to the webinar. Hi,
Thank you very much.
And, Pete, I'd like to ask you how this initially came about. So you met your two friends at the London Olympics in 2012. So can you tell us about that meeting and how it kind of sparked off this idea for the Sleep Pod?
Sure. Very good to be here. Thanks for inviting me. So I first met Ian Ashby when, in fact, we were doing the opening ceremony for the Olympics. We were drumming in the opening ceremony, which was a great way to meet a very special man. And a few years later, we decided to support a good friend of mine's charity, Aid Box Convoy, ABC, which is a refugee charity based in Bristol. We wanted to go and spend some time in Dunkirk, in one of the refugee camps there, to support the charity. And so Ian and I travelled out to Dunkirk with a bunch of boxes filled with various different types of aid. And we spent quite a few weekends out there doing a huge variety of different things, none of which we thought we'd have done until we got there. And Ian, in fact, ended up spending quite a few months out there. And we were very, very moved, blown away by the situation in the refugee camp. So what we were particularly blown away by was actually the amount of things that we could practically do to assist a very difficult situation. And we were hugely touched by the number of incredible people there were in those camps, from all different groups, from the refugees themselves to volunteers who'd given up massive chunks of their life and put huge amounts of effort and love into trying to care for the people and make the situation a bit better. In fact, we met Justin, who's the third co-founder of Sleep Pod. We met Justin out in Dunkirk in one of the camps, and ended up, the three of us, becoming very close friends and really witnessing together the power of volunteering and the importance of volunteering in situations that are on our doorstep that need our attention. And really, Sleep Pod came from us being together in Dunkirk. Essentially, time passed. What wasn't going to happen was we were going to stay living in a refugee camp forever. But we have family back in the UK, and we needed to be able to do something that was a bit more sustainable from the UK. Ian spent many months creating in his mind a device that could be used to help people sleep outside. We were all quite shocked by the type of aid that was being given in the refugee camp, or in the refugee camps generally. It wasn't fit for purpose in many situations, although well-intentioned. A lot of what was being given didn't help protect refugees from the elements at all. So Ian, builder by trade, decided he could make something that was more fit for purpose. Many prototypes later, I think now we're on prototype 12, we now have the Sleep Pod. Justin got quite involved with the design of it as well, and Justin has slept many nights in the Sleep Pod refining that design. And the three of us have evolved as a group with very good complementary skills. We all contribute very different things to the organisation, and we've come together in a very passionate way to try to develop the concept of Sleep Pod, bring it to...
Yeah.
Sorry?
Pete, did you, when you were in Dunkirk all together and you'd
Yeah.
met, did you discuss the idea then? And who was the initial person that had the idea?
Ian was the man who came up with the idea of the sleep pod, and he is the inventor. It's his heart and brain that created this the sleep pod, and Justin and I have helped to make it what it is today. But yeah.
What's all your backgrounds? Are you working in your jobs? Are you working for charities? How did you come up with these?
All very different. So I'm a lawyer. Justin's a salesman, and Ian's a builder. So no, we've all got big hearts though, which is what makes us, which has enabled us to get together and do this. And actually, Dunkirk was life-changing for all of us, and we realised the importance of getting involved in the situations that we're faced with. Okay,
yeah, so you all kind of come from different backgrounds, so in a way you kind of complement each other and bring your ideas together. So what is a sleep pod? So just explain to people who haven't heard about it, what is it?
A sleep pod is, each sleep pod costs £25 in materials, and it's made of a insulative building material. Essentially it's a bubble wrap lined with aluminium. So it's a tough bubble wrap, it is a building material, and it's been designed so that it can be made by volunteers. It's a very easy build. It wraps up into a small bag and can be reused night after night after night. So you take it out of the bag, unwrap it, it pops up into a Toblerone shaped sleep pod, and provides rough sleepers with meaningful protection from the elements. And if it's well looked after, it can. We've heard some great anecdotes of them lasting for more than a couple of months of even regular use. And our hope is that we can continue to refine it to make it last even longer. But it's essentially a volunteer-built device that enables people to sleep outside with a lot more protection from the elements than they might otherwise have had.
So how warm is it inside when somebody's carrying this around and they assemble it for themselves when it's very cold? How warm would they?
Yeah. Well, it provides meaningful protection. We've done lots of testing, anecdotal testing ourselves, and we believe it makes a considerable difference. We're actually just about to undergo some tests in a refrigerated lorry, so we can actually apply some more science and give some proper stats as to the temperature differential. But we believe it's a marked difference, and what we're hearing from the rough sleepers who are using them is it makes a big difference to their night.
Do you think these sleep pods could actually help refugees who are travelling around, like in a lorry, for example, if they were very desperate and had to get into a lorry? Do you think this would almost be a lifesaver, would you say?
I hesitate to use the word life-saving. It is a word that's been used by people who've used the pods and people who've seen the pods. We would love to think it can help people get through the night and protect them from the elements. And if that means makes it life-saving, that would make us very happy. There's absolutely no doubt that when this idea originally came about, the intention was for it to be used by refugees as a category of rough sleeper. It's lightweight, it folds up, it enables people to travel. So that's absolutely an application for it.
Okay, and you said that Ian sometimes tests it out by actually sleeping in it himself. Did he have to make it quite long to fit the tallest of people? It's been designed to enable what we consider to be a relatively tall person to fit inside. I actually don't know what the length is, but it's long enough for what we consider to be a tall person. Otherwise, it would be impractical. So it's designed to fit the majority of sizes. And can you tell me about the partnerships that you've gone into? So when you all designed the sleep pod, then you had to kind of distribute it. So did you go into partnership immediately, or did you distribute it yourself initially? Yeah. So what we've discovered is that the concept of the sleep pod and the fact that volunteers are able to build them has created a lot of interest. So we've had some great partnerships with cities such as Bristol. Bristol's a brilliant example of the power of the people for us, and they're massive heroes to us, the crew that have worked on this in Bristol.
They saw the idea. We're good friends from the days in Dunkirk. They saw what we were doing and they wanted to be a part of it. They raised money themselves through a music festival, a gig in December, raising about 10 grand. With that money, they were able to buy materials. We trained them in building the sleep pods, and then they ran a build for themselves in Bristol before Christmas. And they're actually now doing 2 more builds this year. So they're a brilliant example of a group of people who've seen the idea and want to do it for themselves. So we've given them the know-how and sold them the materials, and they're able to then get the builds going themselves. And they've been distributing through local charities in that part of the country themselves. But one of the things we aren't distributors of sleep pods. We work with experts who work on the streets, who are working in the particular region, for them to decide whether or not giving out a sleep pod in a particular circumstance is appropriate. We're absolutely, it's essential for us to make sure we work with the relevant expertise in the particular area where the sleep pods are being given out. So our role now is, as well as building sleep pods, raising money to build more sleep pods, is to make connections with more partners in areas, wherever they might be in the globe, who are working on the streets and believe that the sleep pod can help the rough sleepers that they're working with. So we're very much looking for new partnerships with those experts and those with that local knowledge, so that we can distribute more sleep pods where they're appropriate.
Yeah. And do you have a lot of interest from like companies who want the employees to get involved and help in some way, put ideas?
Yeah. I mean, what we've again, we're really blown away by the impact that the build process has had on those people who've built, the volunteers who come to the builds. We've run a number of builds ourselves, and it's very palpable and very physical, the connection you have with the pod. So when you're making it makes you want to make more, and people have got very excited and very emotional about the process of building a pod, knowing it's going to be given to someone who needs it. And that's led to a number of corporate builds, and it's very much an area of focus for us. It's a good way for us to raise money we're now a registered charity. It's a good way for us to raise money so that we can build more pods. And it's a great way for companies to tick the CSR box and really get their employees involved in something very, very practical and we hope, very inspiring. And the corporate builds we've had so far have been hugely well received by the corporate and also by the employees being involved, as a way for them to really get involved in helping the rough sleeping problem themselves. So we believe the power of that is massive, and we're receiving a lot of information and feedback that really backs that up, which is really exciting, and for us kind of makes this feel like it really has legs.
Yeah, because it's an example of the power of the people, and people want to be good. And even you yourself, you've got a full-time job, a family, even very, very busy, you're still finding the time to help, and you're very passionate about it. Do you find that is like other people as well, that you
completely? I mean, it's not for everyone, and we're not pushing it onto anyone, but we talk to our friends and people we meet about this, and it brings people in. The number of different types of energy that have been invested into this project, whether it's design, whether it's hooking us up with more people, whether it's arranging for more builds to happen, whether it's fundraising, people want to get involved. And for us, that's the power of this. The world is invited to join us, and those that want to, we want to talk to you. And whether that's, investing whatever type of energy or skill set you might have, we're really keen to talk. And it seems to be very contagious. People, I think it's very easy to see how you can get involved very quickly, and that seems to be contagious, and we're very happy about that.
Okay, brilliant. And could you tell me a bit more about the France element of this? Is it are you rolling it out in France as well still, or just the UK?
To be honest, as a group, our aim is to build sleep pods, and we're quite focused on that aim. And if there are other countries, other regions that want sleep pods, and we believe there's expertise in those areas to decide whether sleep pods are appropriate, we'll supply them. So we've done, I mean, it feels very much part of our roots as an organisation because of Dunkirk. We've distributed, or we've given them to local charities in Paris, Dunkirk and Calais, and that's very much an area we want to continue to support. It seems it's very dear to us in terms of us being able to support the needs of the refugees in those situations. So we'll definitely continue to support local charities in those areas, but we're not restricted in our minds as to where this can apply. We've had communications from the US, we've had them from Canada, and the more we do, I think, and we hope that the more communication we'll get. We're not remotely interested in making money. This is about building pods and raising more money to build more pods. As a charity, our aim is to be redundant. One day we hope no one needs a pod. Until no one in the world needs a pod, we'll keep building pods. And it feels like a very basic thing to offer, and we're very keen to continue to offer it.
And do you find this idea leads to success in the sense of this, rough sleeper getting maybe a temporary home, and then these on other steps kind of?
Yeah, it's a really important point. So what we're very keen again to do is, we're not just about chucking pods out on the streets for people to use. As we develop and evolve, our main aim in giving someone a pod is to help the person sleeping in that pod find a more permanent solution. So we have a notice, a sticker that's stuck on each pod, which the distributor is required to fill in the details of a local charity. For example, in Bristol, that's StreetLink. And the idea is that the conversation that the distributor has with the rough sleeper includes giving them options as to more permanent solutions. So I spoke to one of the distributors in Bristol the other day, who during a distribution one evening was able to give 3 people who didn't have the contact details for StreetLink their details. So in giving them a sleep pod, they were educating them about the options. That's fundamental to this. This is not just about giving sleep pods. Yeah. So we're developing a very clear set of guidelines for all our distributors to help the people who are rough sleeping to get a more permanent solution. So, as we evolve and as we improve how this works, we hope to be able to really, help people move away from having to use a sleep pod. Yeah. As I say, our aim is to be redundant. So whatever we can do to contribute to that, we're fulfilling our task.
Yeah, because I suppose there's various reasons why people are rough sleeping, and obviously refugees and people in the UK. There's various reasons. Do you want to go into partnership with more people so that you can reach out to rough sleepers with different ways?
Completely. Any organisations involved with rough sleepers, we're interested to talk to. So our aim is definitely, we aren't structured, we aren't experienced to distribute sleep pods to the world. What we've set up is a way of building emergency devices which we want to distribute to, or provide to distributors to enable them to give them out. So absolutely, those partnerships are essential to us, and without them we can't distribute the sleep pods. So yeah, that's very much part of what we do.
And Pete, do you know how many sleep pods you've actually distributed so far?
We've built over 1,000, and of those, probably about 700 have been distributed. I think in the month of January alone, last year we built 1,000 approximately. We pretty much by the end of the month will have built 1,000 in January. And our aim, which we're in our minds, it's quite a vague aim at the moment, but we want to do 10,000 this year. And we're seeing this explosion of interest from different regions in the UK, and as I mentioned, from abroad as well. We've only just registered as a charity. We've been very well supported through Fundsurfer, which I think hopefully we'll be able to put the details up for. But as we're able to raise more finance and get more interest from across the region and abroad, we believe talking about the power of the people, that if we can spread the knowledge and the know-how as to how to build the pods, we're able to really contribute massively by enabling a lot of pods to be built. So this is an open source product. We're not, as I said, this is not a commercial aim and a commercial outfit. We're not trying to make money for ourselves. We want to spread the know-how to different organisations, different people who want to build pods for themselves. And so anything we can do to enable that to happen, then we're fulfilling our aims as a charity.
Was it difficult for you to get charitable status? Was it a long journey, or was it challenging, or did you?
It just took a bit of time, and the Charity Commission were very helpful. They had a few questions and queries. I'm very lucky, due to my profession, I'm able to access some good help and advice, which made a massive difference to. I think if I hadn't had the background I have as a lawyer, and hadn't been involved in that kind of thing, I think it would have been quite a painful process. But thankfully, because of my background, it was a bit more straightforward.
So you really are putting all your knowledge together, all three of you. Like building. You've got the knowledge of being a lawyer.
Yeah.
So you're really putting it all together to help other people. And
yeah, it does feel we have we're very passionate about the project, and we have a very, very special bond holding us together through our experiences in Dunkirk, but now through our experiences with Sleep Pod. It's been an amazing journey just in the last 12 months, and we're really excited to be working together. It feels very special, and it feels like we do complement each other very, very well. So it's exciting to be working together. And thankfully, something that we all feel very, very deeply.
It really comes across that way as well. In Dunkirk, did you have any other ideas? Were you sort of sitting, in the evening, winding down after a long day, and there was lots of ideas, or was this the idea that you had? How did you? It
wasn't. This didn't sort of come about whilst we were in Dunkirk over a beer one night. It was very much Ian thought about it very hard after he came back from Dunkirk. Okay. And it really evolved from there. So no, it wasn't a light bulb moment in while we were all sitting together in Dunkirk. It was very much something Ian came up with as an idea, and then lots of conversations and lots of effort from, in particular, Ian and Justin, led to the first prototype being built, and then lots more conversations led to us deciding to turn it into something a little bit more formal.
How do you fit it in with your very busy job and your busy life? Do you find that challenging?
Of course, yeah, it is, and it's for me what I've learned and what I'm learning with Ian and Justin is anyone getting involved in setting up a charity or an organisation that's giving something back. One of the main things we have to do is focus on making it sustainable with our families, because if we don't, it won't last, and we won't be doing it in a year's time. So I think it's a challenge that we're all very aware of. We talk about regularly as a group, and we support each other where one of us needs some time to be with our families or do whatever we need to do. So it's something we're very mindful of, and we need to remain very mindful of. Otherwise, our charity won't be successful. We also need to understand where our limitations are. So there will come time when we need to employ more support. So as we grow and develop, and our aspirations become more ambitious, we'll need to scale up, and that's a conversation we're having constantly to make sure that we're fit for purpose.
Yeah, that's amazing. Do you think companies, like say the company that you're working for, another company, do you think they should give employees more time to do or get stuck into these sort of projects because they're so valuable?
I think I believe that's a massive direction of travel. I mean, the company I work for, I'm very lucky. We have a CSR day. Everyone every year has a day to give to a cause that matters to them. And I think a lot more companies are doing that sort of thing now. I think it's becoming, being genuinely responsible for the world around you is becoming a requirement from employees. And I think that's a really nice shift. And we're definitely seeing that kind of energy in the responses and the conversations we're having with corporates. People don't just want to work for a money-making machine. They want to work for somewhere that gives a crap about the world that they live in, and genuinely so. So yeah, I think it's a great shift, and one that I hope continues to evolve.
What do your work colleagues say about all the work and ideas you've got about Sleep Pod? What are they very for it? Are they inspired by it?
Yeah, I think it's. I'm not pushing it that hard, to be honest. The ones who I had a build here a few weeks ago, I had a number of colleagues there, and it was amazing to have them with me. I'm not pushing it too hard at work in time. Now we've got registered charity status, I might push it a bit harder. I will bring people in who I think are interested at the right time, but I don't want to push it too hard. I have an important job to do at work, so yeah. Keep it a bit separate.
Yeah, no, exactly. And do you think you might get schools and colleges involved? Because I know lots of colleges.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got lots of conversations going on. Festivals, schools, colleges, any groups of people who are interested in putting something back are potentially interesting to us for builds, for awareness raising, for fundraising. They're all really interesting, and we were talking this morning actually about the festival season in the summer, getting some profile raising opportunities in festivals. I think there are lots of groups. Cub Scouts, for example, we did one build with a group of Cubs in Birmingham. Motivated groups of people who want to give something back, and we're developing the tools in video content and printed materials to enable other people to build pods. So it's becoming much easier for us to share the know-how, and then to really upscale the building of the pods.
Do you think groups of teenagers like 16 and above, 16 and going on to university, are very passionate about the world? They believe in the power of the people and they want to do good. Do you think you can get a lot of ideas from young people?
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is there's no age limit, up or down for this. We had at the last build, we had some 10-year-olds involved with their parents, who were really inspiring and really passionate and really got stuck in and worked really hard. So yeah, it's definitely. My daughter helps me in the barn cutting materials. She's 5, so I haven't quite persuaded my 3-year-old to get stuck in, but we'll get there.
Give her a few more months, and then she'll give you lots of ideas and help.
Yeah, absolutely.
And where do you see this going forward? I know you have touched on it a lot already, but what is the plans in the next 6 months to a year, and the next 5 years even?
I think the plans are to keep being clear with Ian and Justin about what our ambition is. So I think we're trying to put very clear objectives in front of us to achieve. We're all open-minded about where it's going to go. We're all very open-minded and protective of each other in this journey, and we need to make sure that we, I think, set ourselves manageable and achievable objectives, and when we succeed in reaching each one, then we'll discuss what the next one is. At the moment, the journey is very exciting to us because of the passion that's coming back our way and the energy that other people are throwing into the project. I think at the moment we want to focus on building as many as we can this winter, and as I say, we've got a number of builds on at the moment over the next 2-3 months. So we want to build as many pods as we can, and once we get through the winter, I think we'll regroup and have a big discussion about what we're trying to achieve in the next 12 months.
Brilliant. And if people do want to get in touch with you because they want to help or they've got ideas, how would they best be going about getting in touch with you to communicate?
I think the best thing to do, we've got a Facebook page, we've got a website, and we've got a Fund Surfer page. And I think you're able to put the details of those up, which would be fantastic. So yeah, either through our website, our Facebook page, or our Fund Surfer page. They're probably the best ways. On the website, there's contact details and specific information about different ways you can get involved.
And what would be the key thing that you're looking for? If there's somebody out there who can help, what's the top of the list, so to speak?
Love, energy, passion. No, seriously, energy and passion, and love. If you think you've got something to offer and you care, we'd love to talk to you.
Do you think the way forward for society in general is to be more positive and think about how they can help rather than being negative?
The world's a bit, it feels a bit messed up at the moment, and I think finding something positive to do is kind of all we've got left, isn't it? So I feel like doing this for all of us and for everyone that's got involved is just good, and there isn't it's not about money, it's not about greed, it's not about anything other than trying to put something back in a situation that feels very desperate. And yeah, we can feel desperate and sad and useless and hopeless about all these things, or we can just do something that's positive, and that's what this is all about to us.